Hi everyone, welcome to our COVID-19 vaccine Q&A video. This first one that we're doing, we're featuring Dr. Karen Yao, one of our staff epidemiologists at the Panhandle Health District. She'll be explaining what the mRNA vaccine is, a little bit about the clinical trials and the efficacy of the vaccine. She'll also be explaining more about the safety of the vaccine, what you might experience once you receive it. And we'll be doing these videos, releasing them, answering questions for you. If you have questions that you'd like answered, please send them our way. We'll be posting these videos on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our website. Thank you for joining us. Karen, take us away.
Thank you for the very nice intro to this, and thank you for joining us for our Q&A today. So my name is Karen Yao, and I'm an epidemiologist with Panhandle Health District. A little bit about my background. So I grew up in Kowloon Wah City, Hong Kong, and that was at one point in history the most densely populated area on Earth. So you can imagine the contrast that was to Idaho, which is very open with lots of trees, just beautiful. I immigrated to the United States when I was 13 and went on to study at the Johns Hopkins University and the NIH Partnership Program, where I got my graduate degree. And following that, I worked for about 10 years as a viral immunology researcher at the National Institutes of Health. And now I'm here in Idaho. I just want to explain a little bit about how this mRNA vaccine works and what you can expect to experience after you get the vaccine, and how do we know it works, and a little bit of background on the vaccine. So first question a lot of people might have is, how does an mRNA vaccine work? Because this is a new technology. So an mRNA vaccine is just a small piece of mRNA of the virus that codes for information on how to make the spike protein. And this piece of mRNA is injected into your upper arm. And once the mRNA gets inside your cell, it teaches the cell how to make the spike protein of the virus, and that would trigger the vaccine production of spike protein and antibodies specific to this spike protein. So how well does this technology work? And the way that we actually study how well a new vaccine works is by doing clinical trials. The clinical trials allows us to study the safety and efficacy of a vaccine. So currently, the US has 2 licensed mRNA vaccine. One is from Pfizer and one's from Moderna. Both of these vaccines have really great efficacy. So the Pfizer vaccine, from the clinical trial studies, we've learned that it has around 95% efficacy, and the Moderna vaccine also has about 94% efficacy. So how do they actually go about coming up with these numbers? So the pharmaceutical companies do these trials by recruiting volunteer participants, and they would then randomly assign these participants into 2 different groups. So one group would get the placebo, and then one group would get the vaccine. So for example, for the Pfizer vaccines, you need to have 2 doses, and those have to be administered 3 weeks apart. So after the participants have been fully vaccinated, so have gotten the 2 doses, the researchers wait for at least 2 weeks and then follow these participants over time, and then see how well the vaccine actually protects them from getting COVID-19. So when they did the study and the analysis over time, they actually found out that the groups that received the vaccine were much more protected from getting COVID-19 than the group that did not receive the vaccine. And this is how we learn the efficacy of a vaccine. And so what can I expect after the vaccine, right? So again, clinical trials are what we use to study efficacy and safety of the vaccine. So basically, we give these participants the vaccine and then follow them over time to observe them for any potential side effects and adverse reactions. So I actually went to get my vaccine at the end of 2020. And afterwards, I did experience some of the symptoms that were described by the participants. And these included pain at the injection site. And then 24 hours to 48 hours after I got the vaccine, I definitely experienced fatigue, headache, muscle pain, and joint pain that were, substantial, but it didn't cause any more serious side effect, such as swollen lymph nodes or anything like that. So I thought this was a really cool tool that the CDC actually put out to help us understand more about reactions that one might have after the vaccine. This tool is called CDC's V-Safe program. It's a smartphone-based tool that follows up with you after you get vaccinated. So right after I got the vaccine, I signed up for the program, and the program actually sends me a daily text to ask me about my symptoms for about 2 weeks. So every day at the same time for about 2 weeks, I was getting messages that asked me for symptoms that I was experiencing. And after 2 weeks, the frequency of the text reduced to once a week. And so now I'm getting text once a week to kind of keep track of symptoms and reactions that I might have. And so usually adverse events would occur within 8 weeks of vaccination. So if anything, any reactions that happens outside of the 8 weeks, they're usually not associated with vaccination. But for this particular vaccine, because it's new, the safety monitoring will actually continue for 2 years. So I would strongly recommend enrolling in this program so we can help the CDC understand more about potential side effects. And so how long did it take to develop this COVID-19 vaccine, right? So the first case of COVID-19 was actually documented in the beginning of December of 2019 in China. That was the first documented case. And then by the end of December 2019, an AI epidemiologist called Blue Dot was able to detect an outbreak that was happening in China. And by January 20th, 2020, that was the first case of COVID-19 that was confirmed in the United States. And by March 11th, 2020, the WHO had actually declared COVID-19 as a worldwide pandemic. So let's take a look at the timeline of how fast the vaccine was being produced. So China was able to share with the world the sequence of the virus in about 10 days after the outbreak was detected. So that happened on January 12, 2020. And in 2 months, the United States was able to go from having just the sequence to having a vaccine that was ready to be tested and go into trial. So that only took about 2 months of time. And then the Pfizer vaccine took a little longer. That was about 4 months from having a sequence to having a vaccine. And that recently, in December 11th of 2020, Pfizer actually was the first to have gotten approval from the FDA to administer the vaccine to the general public under the emergency use authorization. So how were the scientists able to come up with a vaccine, test it in such a fast time, and then have it available for us to protect us against the virus infection. And this is, they were able to do that because there have been a lot of research done over the past 30 years on the coronavirus family, because in 2003, there was a SARS-CoV-1 outbreak, mainly in Asia. It didn't really impact the United States. And also in 2012, there was the MERS coronavirus outbreak as well. And those two viruses belong to the same family of coronavirus as the COVID-19 virus. So, and then furthermore, we've have a lot of research on mRNA vaccines for actually rabies, influenza, Ebola, and also for cancer. So we've learned a lot about those experiences. And lastly, the delivery method of how to get the vaccine into a cell has been studied for gene therapy and other purposes. So by building on advanced research that we've done for over 30 years, we were able to come up with a vaccine in a really short time. So that's all I have for this Q&A, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Dr. Karen. Excellent presentation. Again, I'd just like to let everyone know that this video will be available on our Facebook page, our website, and our YouTube channel. We will be releasing additional videos to answer commonly asked questions. If you do have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments or email us any questions that you want to be answered. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.